Hello and welcome back to SML The Sit Down. I am Primetime 000 Commissioner, and with me is the guest, the man of the hour, QBstud. What's going on? Everyone give a round of applause. QB, welcome to the show, and we're going to start this one off. Simple question, little underhanded softball. How did you come up with your PSN?
I was 12, by the way, and well, my dad was a quarterback when he played football. He was a quarterback coach, then offense coordinator. I was going to play quarterback. You sound really cool in middle school if you call yourself a stud. So there you go.
So there you go. Okay. And also, you did some modeling at some point. Maybe failed career, but you tried your best.
You could call it that, yeah. I
So
went to one call. It's not that big a deal.
former model in the SML, rivaling KJ. When did you get into Madden?
I started playing Madden with Madden 2001 semi-series or like semi-regularly. I had the OG Madden for Sega Genesis. Played that a little bit, not as much. My dad bought my brother and I Madden 2001, and ever since then I've had every Madden except for the last one. Or no, that's not true. It was this one, but I didn't end up getting it. Except for Madden 2004. That was the only Madden that I have not had since Madden 2001.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's with Madden 04? You didn't like Madden 04?
So I had a buddy that had it, and I would just go play it at his house.
Oh, okay.
It was a
So
really good Madden. That was the one where Vic was a superhero.
yeah, yeah. And then when did you get into CFM or connected franchise?
My first CFM was probably 4 cycles ago, maybe 5 cycles ago. I saw a random Reddit post of a chill CFM that was looking for, you know, I forget exact. Basically, they were looking for somebody's sim. I forget what they called it. So I was like, hey, I'm interested. Played there. Was a D-line user. Was obviously awful for the first like two
Yeah.
seasons, and then built my team up because I knew how to do that. That was most of my time in Madden has been spent doing fantasy drafts and things
Hmm.
like that, and team building. That's my favorite part.
Hmm.
So I built my team up, and then we had my division that I was in that cycle had the Super Bowl winner every single time. Like all four of us
Oh,
were the only
really?
ones that went. I didn't ever actually win it, but that was fun. And then bounce around to another one and back a couple of times before I found the SML.
There you go. So you um, you find the SML. How did that come about? Or was it a Reddit thing? Did you know somebody in the league, or how did that go?
Reddit post.
Reddit post. Okay. Yeah. Now Reddit's ruined that for me. I don't know if you know that, but they don't let me post it in the Madden forum anymore. But
Yeah, yeah.
so if you were prime for a day or commissioner for a day, what's one thing you would change?
Um, I would. There's nothing that I would want to do in one day. I would probably put limits on the number of throws you can make to the sideline. But look, I should never be the number one leader of a CFM or like a commissioner of a CFM.
Hmm.
I'm not a populist enough. I have a lot of unpopular opinions.
Hmm.
I think I'd be fine helping, but I
Hmm.
should not be the one in charge.
So you think maybe behind the scenes, kind of giving suggestions, tweaks, and maybe pointing people in the right direction would be your.
I
Uh,
feel I can be reliable and helpful, but don't put me in charge.
so I was at. This is a fan question here. I've had a few fan questions I sprinkled in, but this one's for sure a big fan question. Ask QB, and some of these guys I haven't edited their questions here, so I'm just going to read it raw. Ask QB how many times he thinks he'll beat each AFC South opponent. So how many times are you going to beat, myself? How many times are you going to beat Matt? And how many times are you going to beat the No Bean?
Let's see. So I've got No Bean one more time this season, and then we've got 2 more seasons after this.
Yeah, probably.
So that's let's see, out of 5 games for No Bean, assuming no playoff games, which I'm gonna assume but probably both don't make the playoffs. I'll say I probably beat him 3 out of next 5.
Oh,
Matt, I may beat once. With you, I think I may actually take 2 regular season games off of you, but I don't think I'll be able to beat you in the postseason.
we'll see. So you think you're going to make the playoffs at least once?
Yeah, not next season probably. I think last season I will, whether it's a combination of my team finally getting into shape or most people just checking out in the final season. I think one way or another, it'll be the right combination of things, and I'll make it.
So one thing that I always find interesting is you tend to get a lot of just people talk crap, take their jabs, Floyd Mayweather style against you. Do you feel that you're misunderstood?
I'm That may or may not be primarily driven by someone else on this video call between the two of us. But yeah, I mean, I would like to say so. I think that my supporters would also say so. I think Fig has even thrown it out there that's like, why do people see QB as controversial? I think that's pretty clear. Now, that's not to say it's not deserved at all. I'm fairly abrasive and I'm aware of that, but I think it gets taken over the top.
Hey, I will say I've been one of the more I can't say bigger QB supporters, but hey, I've kind of been towing the line lately. Maybe debate.
Yeah, you just feel bad that I came out of the gates pretty slow. I had a limp.
So I'm sure you'll be running soon. So here's a question for QB. Paulie never ended up meeting with him, but he met with Fig. How did that make you feel, and how do you think you and Paulie meetup would have gone if you did end up meeting up with Paulie?
Uh, that's fine. Polly had lots of excuses that came up out of nowhere at the end. I understand where we're at. You know what I mean? That was still when Polly and I were on better terms. We've kind of not been on such good terms after that for unrelated reasons, I'm sure. So it doesn't really surprise me anymore. I just wasn't aware of it yet. But I get he wants to keep to his old Yankees, and those people in the Northeast have to stick out for one another.
Who's your biggest rival?
I feel like it'd have to be you, wouldn't it be? I mean, Conk was my biggest rival ever in the SML, but he's
Yeah,
gone. Conk would be my all-time rival, but you would probably come in at number two regardless.
nice. What about you and Dan? What do you think that was kind of a missed spark there?
Yeah, I mean, that's something that definitely would have developed into something. But since I was only around for one season, I don't think I played him in the previous cycle. I think it was just that
No.
one season
Yeah.
that I played him in. He beat me twice in the regular season. I beat him once in the playoffs, which is a one and done thing anyway. So there's not really enough history there.
And I think Dan went undefeated that year. You beat him, right? Like he had 16-0, and then you beat him. Is that right?
He was doing really well. It may have been like 14-2,
Okay.
but
Okay.
regardless, yeah, it was an excellent season.
Okay. Yeah. And then QB came to town. So, what do you think is your just greatest SML accomplishment? You've got 3 Simbardis. I think you went undefeated once or twice. What's your just crowning achievement?
Um, I mean, I guess my crowning achievement would be to just have success with not my own team. I took that Patriot squad and kind of it was not very good, not as bad as this Texan squad, but then I turned it into something that was really good. I think my first Simbardi was more impressive than the 19-0 season, just because my roster for that 19-0 season was top notch. It was just a matter of not shooting myself in the foot. But taking a team that was a lot lower in the overall, if you will, or the talent aspect of things, and getting a Simbardi that first time, I think was a little bit more impressive.
So, do you take anything back about that controller being bronze and white, or are you sticking by
No,
that?
I don't know how you've lied or brainwashed all these people, but I mean, maybe it's just this big scheme. I don't know.
I was calling you Jimmy Neutron, and I forgot to edit it, but I might be calling you the Sheen now. I enjoy that show, by the way. I'm not sure if you're a Jimmy Neutron fan or not, but I am.
I'd watch it when it was on, before we had options, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So where do you think you fall? And again, 19-0 season, 3 Simbardis. I think that's the third most. I think Gov has 4. Obviously, I have 19-time champ. Where do you think you fall in terms of SML lore?
Uh, I mean, I personally would like to claim top five, just for efficiency, if nothing else. The my 3 titles were all in a 6 season span. Like I said, started off with a not so great team, even at the beginning of that 6 season span. I'd like to say top five, but probably in the bottom of the top five, like 4 or 5.
So you wouldn't put yourself at 2 or 3. You'd put yourself at 4 or 5.
Nah, longevity's important. I don't have the longevity.
So maybe Jonesy. Were you around for Jonesy or no?
Uh,
No.
I not. I've heard enough about him, but no.
Okay. And definitely Gov though, probably.
Yeah, it's above me.
Uh,
Sure.
so another interesting thing, and you had meant you kind of hinted at it earlier. Who are the QB supporters?
Like all of them are gone. Like Tinney was a QB supporter.
Uh-huh.
Chris and Kells was a big time QB supporter. Dump used to be a QB supporter, but he's like
Corrupted.
Bizarro Dump now with all his
He
new
is.
activities he's
He
picked
is.
up.
Yeah.
So and now he's a QB hater. Man, I'm telling you, it was split. Like one third were huge QB fans, one third could not have given less of a, well, I'll say crap, and then one third hated me.
Mm-hmm.
And like the entire one third that didn't like me all stayed. And then so now it's all indifferent people or people that are not big fans. And I'm like, all right, I guess that's fine.
So this is off the cuff here. Who's changed the most? Okay, like who stayed the same since when you left it, and who's changed the most?
You are literally the exact same. You haven't aged a day
Yeah.
as far as maturity, personality, or anything like that, which is fine. Like
Yeah.
keep doing what you're doing. I mean, Dump's clearly changed the most.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to talk about play style, I haven't watched any of his game, but I think Graham seems to be checked out
Yeah.
mentally or emotionally, which kind of hurts to see because he's another one that was somewhat of a QB supporter, at least as far as that goes.
So is there anybody that you've seen you're like, oh wow, this guy's better, or this guy? And my question was actually personality wise, and you did answer that. But I guess my follow up is there anybody that you've seen like, oh wow, this guy has gotten better, or anything like that outside of Graham's?
I'd have to think about that
Hard to
for a
say.
second. Matt was a fine player before. He was in my division in primer. I was a supporter for him to get called up, but he was one of those like solid guys. And he's got a great roster, knows how to use them, doesn't make mistakes. He's playing exceptionally well right
He
now, at the
is.
very least. Not that I've seen that much. It'd probably be most improved if I had to just, off the cuff come up with something.
Yeah, I respect Matt a lot. Actually, Matt's a very good guy. So do you? What do you think, or how do you think last cycle would have played out if you were able to stick it out and play all the way through? The circumstances didn't come up.
If no circumstances come up, I think I probably would have won another three
So
after the first one.
so you would have won 4 last cycle.
Yeah.
So you think you're in your stride at the peak of your powers, you win 4, and that brings your total to 6 Simbardis.
Correct.
What do you think? It's back to the supporters topic because I got off track here. Mike, what's your relationship with Mike like?
Uh, Mike's a big QB supporter. He just shows his support in a very different way than a lot of people. Mike was the only one that kept up with me outside of the SML. It wasn't like every day or anything like that, but reached out every once in a while. We chatted about some stuff. So he's probably number one in the QB club.
Wow.
Not that he wants to be.
Wow, Mike is the number 1 fan. So this losing obviously is new to you. You expected 6 Simbardis in total at the end of last cycle. Circumstances, you're busy. You join right at the kind of, the back 9 of this cycle. For somebody who's as enjoyed as much success as you have, this losing has to hurt, right? I mean, you were getting smacked a few times.
No, part of like we even had a little mini conversation before I came in. I'm not as emotionally invested in the game itself like I used to be. The thing that I like the most about the SML is competition for sure. Even still, without being as invested, it's about competition. But the highs and the lows, I'm not in a place right now where I want to mess with that. So, like I said, I laughed during the majority of the game where you absolutely smoked me in my first game back. Like it's fine. It doesn't bother me.
That was
I got a little frustrated against Matt just because it felt like there was literally nothing I could do. But I mean, I was fine afterward. It's all good. Whereas before, I probably would have been a little upset, not breaking controllers, upset like some
Spooky.
people.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't believe Spooky snapped that thing. That's a $70 controller. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So, it's not festering in you at all. Losing is not, it's not festering. For me, I feel like I would try to compartmentalize it, but it would still, it'd be like this thing in my head, like this elephant in the room, like, okay, like this has got to stop. Is that not the case?
No, so I do have that mentality that it has to stop, but I'm addressing it at a micro level instead of a macro level. So for Polly, what that means is I'm looking at the little things and looking at how I can affect change. And then when you take those little things and build them all up and build it out, that will then create the big change that you're looking for. That's part of the reason why I was playing so poorly at the beginning, is I wasn't focused on my overall effort or my overall impact on the game. I was trying to figure out this or that at any given time, just because the game felt incredibly foreign, even though I had played probably 5 or 6 times before our game. And so I just wanted to figure out how that stuff was going to work at a higher level. I figured it out, I think, fairly quick. I know people are going to see how low I was and think that, oh man, I was that bad for that long. I think it was like 3 weeks. But yeah, it was just a process, and I feel like I've most gotten through the process. Now it's just a new process of building the team up, so it's not, me trying to do it all on, skill or whatever you want to call it.
So this Faz, I noticed he takes a lot of little jabs at QB. What's with this, you and Faz? You guys got some hidden beef? You guys talking trash in chat in private or what?
No, I don't know that I probably don't even have DM history with him. I've probably just said some shit about General Cheese or things that I'm not a fan of that he probably does. I mean, I don't know. I don't even watch any of his games. But it may be one of those things. He and Dan talk a lot. I've gone after Dan a few times, but like in good spirit, of course. Yeah. I don't know exactly what it is. It may just be that he sees an easy way to get people to rally and laugh at what he has to say, and so he's going to take it. Like, that's fine. That doesn't bother me.
So, another question I have for you. Let's say, superpowers, like, hey, it'd be cool to be like Spider-Man and have his freaking web shooting out of his wrist. Tobey Maguire, the GOAT, of course. Who is the GOAT Spider-Man, real quick?
Toby.
All right, cool. All right.
Andrew Garfield he doesn't exist. He's not headcanon as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
The new guy, whatever his name is, he's good.
Holland. Yeah, I like Tom. I kind of like them all. I used to not like Andrew, but I think No Way Home, I kind of liked Andrew a little bit. But
so I still haven't seen it yet, in all fairness.
Spoiler!
We don't watch movies until we can watch them for free. I don't spend money on that crap. I'm not a big movie guy anyway. And so as soon as I can stream it for free, then we're good to go. But until that happens, like, I think Marvel's Endgame, it was literally just over 2 years until I got to see it.
Interesting. That's cool. No, that's cool. So if you could have one superpower taken from a SML player, like, let's just say, I don't know. She's user. Something like that. One current SML member. Who would you take a power from?
Current SML user. That's an interesting thing. You know what? You've actually been pretty light on this interview. I'll go ahead and fluff you up a little bit, and I'll say Prime's Clutch Gene.
Thanks, QB. I appreciate that. That's a way to a man's heart. A way to a man's heart, and my ego as well. So, hey, what's your honest goal to finish the cycle? I know you kind of hinted at the playoffs. Is that kind of it? You just want to make the playoffs and kind of build to next cycle?
Yeah. So what I'm shooting for would be a playoff win, with the expectation of making it at least once. Honestly, just making sure that I maintain being competitive with what I've been given in the division that I'm in. I'd be happy with. Those are like the 3 levels: what I'm shooting for, what my expectation is, and what I'd be happy with.
Crunching the numbers. Are you excited for the return of crunching the numbers?
Absolutely. So I've already got an idea for the first episode. If you want to hop on and do that with me, that I think would be the best way to do it. I was happy with doing it with Meats and Grams occasionally filling in. I'd be willing to do that still. But basically what I want to do with the first episode is come up with playoff predictions on who's going to win the division, who's going to make the wild cards, things like that. Have the sheet make those calculations with odds, and then see what you think and try to compare those things. I think it's a good time. People get really upset whenever they see low odds next to their name and
Yeah.
or next to their team, and then they watch and make comments, and it people get interested in it.
Man versus machine. One thing you never have included in the sheet is the goat effect. Are you going to include that, or have you found a calculation for that?
What's funny is if you take what I would have to do is normalize something around the fact that it's a regular season. Just because you don't handle regular and postseason the same,
Yeah.
which is that's normal. Like real life happens that way. Somebody like Dan is generally going to just play his way very methodically the whole time. So his game in the regular season really similar to his game in the postseason. Which may be why when some people step up, all of a sudden guys he was destroying before are now playing with him, and maybe he's not used to that. I don't know. And that's the problem. It's this exact same problem with analytics in baseball. Over the course of a season, it works great, but when you come down to postseason and I need to make one play or this one out that this guy made because he's not that good affects the rest of my lineup, that's when it starts to fall apart, and that's the same thing the sheet's running into.
Interesting. So QB, we're at 21 minutes. I try not to get more than 25 minutes because people's attention spans tend to go away quick. Open mic. Do you have anything to say? Do you just anything on your mind, heart, soul that you want to say right now?
Yeah, if especially those of you guys who are basing your perception of me off of what others have said or things that you've heard, and even those guys that have experience with me, just give me a clean slate. I'm still probably going to be a little obnoxious, but maybe not as obnoxious as before. So yeah, just give me a shot and let's have a good time.
Yeah, I think the fun thing about it is, you know, I think obviously there's a few guys here who have had some initiation problems over the past primer posse guys, and I think yeah, definitely QB, give him a shot. He's QB version 2.0. He's got 3 Simbardies. He's got the Jimmy Neutron above his head. Hey, you never know what's going to happen in the SML. QB, I appreciate you coming on the show. This is a sit down. Hopefully the seat didn't get too hot for you.
Hey, that was easy, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.